Good afternoon, dear students, academics, and our guests. Great to have all of you with us today on this IT conference organized by the Faculty of Mathematics and Digital Technologies. This conference consists of several parts, where the main focus is software lifecycle management and IT project management. On today's event, we are going to talk about different version control systems like Git, GitHub, and Gitlab, and getting introduced to the usage by our students. But firstly, I wanted you to get acquainted with our specialty, system analysis, at the Department of System Analysis and Theory of Optimization of Faculty of Mathematics and Digital Technologies. As students, we have an opportunity to study the methodology of mathematical and applied sciences, like the solution of complex problems of analysis and creation of computer communication, information, and other technical systems. And we have a lot of practice in various IT technologies like web development, 3D modeling, usage of programming patterns, working with database, and so on. Every year, we have an internship in real IT companies. In order to, besides the theoretical knowledge, we get practical experience. I recommend you to watch our short introducing video about system analysis.
Do you want to be not just a successful programmer, but system analyst, leader of IT squad? Do you want to make your own prosperous product and to be comprehensively aware about digital technologies nowadays? Then you should go to us, to our specialty 124 system analysis. We'll teach you the basics of web programming, 3D modeling and Unity, foundations of cryptography, aspects of blockchain technology. Also, we can teach you how to manage your own IT projects and the main essentials of Q&A technology. If you want to know more information about our specialty, call this number and follow this link.
And I want you to get introduced to the team, thanks to whom we could make this meeting happen. The speakers of the conference will our students, Ksenia Makara. She's a second-year student of system analysis and interested in web design, game development, and concept art. Vladislav Bulhakov, a fourth-year student of system analysis. He's a web developer. Yevgeny Khavavka, a Flutter developer. Our admin, Stanislav Hutlebet. He's a WordPress developer. And lastly, let me introduce the host of this meeting, myself. I'm MSS Sotak, and I'm a Flutter developer. Before we really start to listen to our speaker's presentation, I can tell in few words about our theme. Version control systems are software tools that have software teams tracking and managing changes to software code over time, hyper faster and smarter. Version control software keeps track on every modification to the code in a special kind of database. And if a mistake is made, developers can turn back and compare earlier versions of the code to have fixed the mistake while minimizing disruption to all team members. And now we are moving forward. And I want to ask you, if you have any questions during the speech, please write them down to the meeting chat and we can answer them later. It won't interrupt the speaker. And to practice, I ask you to share with us which city are you joining to this conference from. Like that. And for your information, while somebody is presenting, your microphones will be muted, but after every presentation, there's an opportunity for ask a question directly to the speaker. So let's start with our first speaker, Vladislav, who will introduce Git to us. Please, Vladislav, start your presentation.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Amisha, for this introducing. So, okay, we'll start it with basic of Git. So, if you want to get started learning about Git technology, you come to right place. So this is a beginner's guide to Git. So what is version control system? Version control systems that record changes of a file, set the files over time so you can recall specific version later. So ideally, we can place any file in computer on version control. A version control system allows you to revert files back to a previous state, revert the entry project back to a previous state, review changes made over time, see who last modified something that might be causing a problem, and some issues. So using VCS also means that if you screw things up, lose your files, you can generally recover easily. So what is Git? Git is a version control system for tracking changes in computer file. So it's a distributed version control system. So Git does not necessarily on a central server to store all version of project's files. Instead, every user clones copy of repository, has the full history of project on their own hard drive. This is clone has all the metadata of the original, while the original itself stored on the hosting servers like GitHub or Gitlab. So Git helps you keep tracking of the changes you make to your code. It basically is a history tab for your code editor. So if any point while coding a hit fatal error, don't know what's causing it, always revert back to stable version. So here we have example. This is 3 cards of one file. So this is initial file, this is added a line, and this is we're making changes. So we can jump over these 3 files and on the Git. So it's also helps you to synchronize code between multiple people. So imagine you and your friend are collaborating on a project. So you both are working on the same project files. Now Git takes those changes that you and your friends made independently and merges them to a single master repository. So by using Git, you can ensure you both are working on the most recent version of the file. So don't have to worry about emailing your files to each other and working a ridiculous number of copies of original file. So what is repository? Repository, aka repo, is nothing but is a collection of source code. So Git flow. There are 4 fundamental elements in Git flow. This is working directory, staging area, local repo, and remote repo. So if you consider a file in your working directory, it can be in 3 possible states. It can be staged, it can be modified, and it can be committed. It be staged, which means that the files with the update changes are marked to be committed to the local repository, but not yet committed. Can be modified, it means that the files, the update changes are not yet stored in the local repository, and it can be committed, which means that the changes you made to your file are safely stored in the local repository. So there we see common commands: git add, git commit, git push, git merge, git fetch, git pull. So git add is a command used to add a file there is in the working directory to a staging area. Git commit is a command used to add all files over the stage to the local repository. Git push is a command used to add committed files in the local repository to the remote repository. And git fetch is the command used to get files from the remote repository and the local repository, but not into working directory. Git merge is a command used to get in the files from the local repository in the working directory. So git pull is a command used that to get files from the remote repository directly into the working directory. It's equivalent to git fetch and git merge. So we can use git pull. So without git fetch and git merge. So, okay, now let's go. I show you some examples how to work with it. For 1 second, please. Okay, for the first time, we need to $git. We just typing download git. This official site of Git. So then we send download for Windows and choosing your installer. After installation, we can use Git. So let's go to our computer. Let's go to our files. Let's create some folder. So, and we see when we click, we can git bash or git GUI here. Okay, so we git bash, and we have command line. So we can creating files here. For example, we touch txt file. We're creating a one txt file. So we need to git init in this repository. So we need an empty Git repository that will be help all our commands to get usable. So after we can create it, we can do git add, or we have it in 2 ways. So we can git add dot or git add file name. So git add dot. Adding all files. For example, we have one more file. We have 2 files, so we git add dot and git status to check. We see that we added all 2 files. For example, we have one more file git and this is not added, so we can add it. Git add txt3. So we added. Now all files are added, and we are ready to we in staging area, and now we are ready to commit. So to commit, we need just command git commit -m. -m is mean message. So -m first commit. Okay, now we will commit it. Also we can create new branches. For what we need new branches new branches needed for when you and friends working on something and you need to do some work, so you can creating some branches. For example, we can create branches in 2 ways. So it can be git out -b, and this is branch name. This command is also switch us to our branch name. So if we want to switch it, we can use this command, but we can also git branch and branch name, for example, dev, and now git check out dev, and we switch to the branch dev. And so also we can creating new files in this branch, creating doing some changes and some other. So if you don't like use this command line, we can use GUI for this. Is like GitHub desktop. It simply use don't forget, if you don't forget all these comments, you can just use GitHub desktop or something like this. Okay, waiting while it's loading. Did I show you? Okay, it's loaded. Here we can add our local repository. So we can file, add local repository. Add local repository, choose our folders that we're creating, add repository. So here we see our two branches, master and dev. So, and here we see our commits. So it's first commit. For example, now I modifying our file. For example, hello world. Save it, and our we send that we change our file to so we can commit it now. For example, update txt1, commit to master, and it's committed. And in history we have two commits now. So also we can use our history log, git log, and we see all our commits. So who created, who creating, who user in one time, and the commit number. So this is like idea of commit. So you can easily find all commits about this ID. So I think it's end. If somebody have questions, you can.
Yes, thanks Vladislav for this informative speech. And if you have any questions, you can ask it directly from Vladislav, or write it to the chat.
Why we cannot? Hello, thank you for your presentation and speech. Why we cannot use one branch, but should use two or more branches? Vladislav, we don't hear you.
Oh, thank you for your question. 1 second. For example. Okay. Here we see this is our master branch, and this is a stable version. So here is we're working with my friend, for example. From first commit of master branch, I will doing some front end work. So I creating new branch and doing my front end work. So then some commits in master branch that some maybe not possible changes, and my friend are working on backend work. So he creating a new branch of backend work, and after we creating front end and backend, we push it to the master branch. So it's easily to work with your code, and it will be cleaner code and not to some fatal errors in the project.
So you mean that it helps us to separate work, yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else can ask a question from Vladislav about the speech? we can move to the next presentation. Thanks, Vladislav. The next presentation is about GitHub, and the speaker is Ksenia Makara.
Hello, everyone. And I'm going to get you acquainted with GitHub, also GitHub basics. So let's start. I study at the Faculty of Math and Digital Technologies on System Analysis specialty. So let's start. And we have to understand what is GitHub, first of all, of course. And GitHub is a code hosting platform for a version control and collaboration. And it lets you and others work together and make your own projects and collaborate from anywhere else. First of all, you have to know how to create your own repository, how to start and manage a new branch, how to make changes to a file and push them to GitHub as commits, and of course, how to merge a pull request. First of all, we create an account. It's nothing difficult because GitHub is considered to be a social media for developers. And of course, you can make your account on GitHub Free or GitHub Pro. It depends on what product you will be presenting to your audience. And you have to verify your email address as on other different social media, so it's nothing difficult. And you have to configure two-factor authentication to make your account secure. Okay, now we will talk about more serious things. For example, working with your repositories. Of course, you have to create a repository. There is a great opportunity to do it on github.com, and you can do it with your computer as well in your local folder on your desktop. And the repository is usually considered to be an organized folder where you can store folders and files, images, videos, spreadsheets, data sets, etc. Everything you want. And often repositories include a README file, and README file means that it contains information about your project. So you can add it when you create a new repository. And of course, the main thing of repository is how you can clone it into your computer. And because you have to commit changes from your local computer to this server. And you can make your copy into the internet. Okay, so the main thing perhaps on GitHub is branching. Branching is a way that lets you have different versions of a repository at one time. So it's like a tree. That's why it's called branches, because you have main branch when you create your repository, and you can make a new branch to make a different stages of your project. For example, when you collaborate with many people, you can discuss with them what stage or what type will you use in your next step. And for that, you can make the second branch, which will define the way that you will do your project for the next step. So here is how it looks on your website. There is a button. When you click on it, you get this window, and you can choose, you can name these branches like README edits or whatever, and it will create a new branch, an exact copy of main branch, and it will be a great way to change, first of all, this branch, and after that, if you are satisfied with your result, you can merge a pull request to the main. Okay, so you can commit changes here right at github.com, and so here is how you can do it. Okay, so README edits branch you created, you can click on README file, click to edit the file. In the editor, write a bit about yourself, for example, like add info about me. and so on, and click Commit Changes. And now you can open a pull request. And I would like to say that pull requests are the heart of collaboration on GitHub. And when you open a pull request, you're proposing your changes and requesting that someone review and pull in your contribution and merge them into their branch. So as I said earlier, you can discuss your changes with your colleagues, with your contributors, by pulling new requests, and you can make your work efficient and clear without mistakes. Okay, so when you committed changes, you can get this window, which will tell you what changes you've committed. Here is the green light, and it shows what changes you've committed. Okay. And merging your pull requests, it's like you confirm your urge to change the main file. But you have to be very careful with that, because you are pulling your pull requests to the main branch from previous or second branch. And you have to be very careful, because you don't want to change your main branch, right? And so on. You can change it in your second branch. Okay, so here is this button when you can merge pull request. And after that, when you've done that, you can click delete branch, and this will delete this branch that you do not need. Okay, issues. So issues let you track your work on GitHub, where development happens. And when you mention an issue in another issue or pull request, the issue's timeline reflects the cross-reference so that you can keep track of related work. It usually happens when you have to say that I don't want this change, I want like another text, I want another background, or so on. And you can discuss it with your colleagues, or if you are a manager that is contacted to a developer that wants, for example, a new website with new background, and you can download the message and the image that you want on your background, and so on. So there are many different ways that you can explain how you want your work to continue. And there are many ways that you can create issues. For example, issues can be created in a variety of ways, and you can choose the most convenient method of your workflow. For example, you can create an issue from repository, an item in a task list, a note in project, a comment in an issue or pull request, a specific line of code, or a URL query. Okay, so we created an issue from repository. Here is our list of like settings and so on. And here is this button that you can click. And you can write a title and leave a comment what exactly you want to change. And for conclusion, it is too early because I want to show you on my computer how this will work. So I have my repository. We can create a new repository by this button, but I am afraid that my Wi-Fi connection is a bit bad, but that's nothing, I think. Okay, so I'll name it conf for short, and I'll add a README file and create repository. So it's really simple. And we can go to code, and we can copy this link where we can go to our desktop, and I have this folder where I store all my repositories, and I can go to git bash here and write the simple command, which is called git clone. And I can paste the way of it. You must specify a repository to clone. Okay. maybe I did something wrong. Control. Maybe I didn't copy it. Okay. Okay, yes. And we are cloning our repository here. We can open and I hope cloning into conf. That's strange. But okay. Usually this command is working, but now I have my repositories here like web and so on, so we'll deal with them. Okay, so we have this file that is called song, and we'll copy it here. Okay, and now we go to our folder, and we open this and use this command like git add dot. Git commit -m, for example, and git push. I hope this works. No, but it usually works. So, okay, we can go here into my repository that is called algorithm, and we have here this song. And if we want to make pull request or issue, first of all, I'll do issue, like create new issue. You can go here, title, like change text, and leave comment, like I want new chorus, for example, for this song. Submit new issue. Okay, now we go to our code and we can create new branch. So here it is like new one, for example. It will create a new branch. And we can click on pen sign. And for example, I have here two texts. And I can edit here. Now we can write, I changed the text. Okay, commit changes. And this changed the text in this branch, but it didn't change the text on your main branch. You can see it is shorter and there is no text in here. And of course, you can merge new pull request, like from this new branch. Here is what you've changed, and you can tip on create pull request. And our program checking if this is okay. Okay, it tells you that there is no mistake. You can merge pull request. It means that you can merge your changes into your main branch. So we'll do exactly the same and confirm merge. So we've merged the pull request, and now we can look at our main branch. And here is our text. But this is not our text that our issue wanted. So we can go to code, go to song. We can do changes in our main branch. And we can copy this text and paste it here. And we can write this thing like this fixes. And we can go to our issues Okay. We can go to our issues and look at that number of issue. Number of issue or its ID or code, it's like that. So you can fix the issues by doing it. So I'll just simply write something down here and update. Okay, so I'll write this fixes this issue with this number and commit changes. Okay, and now we see that this issue is closed because I have used the word fixes and it showed us what we have fixed. Yes. Okay, now we are moving to conclusion. So the GitHub is called the sites developers sites for like social media, social network for developers. And in addition to posting the code, you can chat, you can comment each other's edits, and follow the news of acquaintances. There are personal pages, small wikis, and bug tracking systems for projects. Syntax highlighting project files for most programming languages can be viewed directly on the site. So it is really comfortable for me because I write on different languages, and it is simply for me to, it will be simpler for me that if I know in what language this was written, not to open this file, but I have the writing of what language it is written. And it is possible to directly add new files to your repository through the web interface on the surface. And it has many, many good things on it. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ksenia, for your presentation. And this is the time to raise your questions to Ksenia.
Thank you, Ksenia. And what do you think about GitLab? Do you recommend using GitLab?
GitLab?
Instead, yes.
Actually, I am more acquainted with GitHub, but I think that this is a good opportunity to know both of these services because if you know more things, then you are more educated. And I would recommend you to get acquainted with GitLab as well as GitHub.
Thank you.
Yes, we have want to hear your question.
My question is, you demonstrated the editing of file locally and on site, on GitHub site. When it is reasonable to edit files directly on site, as you did on some examples?
For example, when you are editing your file on github.com, you can, it is more comfortable to edit small files. Or when you have a small mistake that is on 1 or 2 rows or something like that, you can change it directly on github.com. And if you have contributors or friends that you are working project with, you can chat on GitHub and you can choose the direct option for your project. And if you're making your project alone or with friends or something like that, you can change it on your computer when you have a great project and it needs large changes. For example, add new to website lists, or like when you have to add a great amount of code, of information on your site or on your project, then you can change it in your computer and use directly commands like git add dot into your repository. So I would recommend you to make commits directly from your computer when you have an enormous project, and directly on github.com, which is locally, when you have a small mistakes, small problems, and you can solve them very fast and very easily.
Okay, but why is better locally to change the code, even when a small correction?
Because it is it takes less time, and you can deal with problem directly on spot, and you can fastly chat and discuss, and the problem will be solved in 5 minutes, like that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes, we saw a raised hand, so please ask the question. You can ask your question.
I can ask.
Yes.
Can you name some general difference between GitHub and GitLab?
GitHub and Gitlab. Okay, so I am not quite familiar with GitLab because I've been working on GitHub for a year and a half. But I think that these two services are a bit connected, and if you're acquainted with GitHub, then you can easily go to GitLab, I think. But I have been working with GitHub mostly.
Maybe some difference of features are in these two services.
Some differences. I know that I know the similarities between these two services, but about differences you can ask maybe the next speaker that will be talking about GitLab directly.
So if anyone of the audience have a question, you can ask, or we can move to the next presentation. So it seems like nobody has a question about GitHub, so thanks, Xenia. You can stop your screen. Or Yevgeny, did you wanted to ask something, or?
No.
Yes. So now we are got to today's last presentation, what Yevgeny will demonstrate to us, and the theme of the speech is GitLab. And please, Yevgeny, start your presentation.
So hello everyone. I will tell you about GitLab. GitLab, it's almost the same control version as GitHub that was present by the previous presenter. So GitLab is open source software with Git code system management, and it's free. In GitHub, you can place a Git repository on your own server, like Linux, by Linux packages, by Kubernetes, or on cloud by Amazon AWS server, Google servers, or Azure. Now I will show you on practice how to use GitLab, how to create file, how to create commits, branch, and so on. So let's create project on GitLab. My new project, and here we have our files, branch, here issues, and here we have our merge requests. Let's create a file and branch, new branch for it. New file. Here we have content, and we can create a new branch. So create new merge requests, and here we have a new branch with a new file and main branch. Let's create merge request, merge, and we will see that we have our new file on main branch. Here it is. So I will show issue, how to create an issue in GitLab. Issue, content, and from issue we can create merge requests with some content or file changing, or create branch. Let's create branch, or see how this. And here we have our open issue, and new branch from issue. So that's it's all similar to GitHub, and but more priceless, because you have option to place your own server with your repository, and that's why a big company and not a big company choose GitLab. That GitLab has less price for it.
More priceless, do you mean cheaper?
Yes, more cheaper. So that's general option in GitLab. I open for questions.
Thanks, Stefani, for introducing GitLab to us. Now, if you have any questions about the speech, you can ask it to Stefani. Or you can write.
We can create a private repository in GitLab.
Yes, sure. You can create a private repository and management it with your private key in Git.
It's free in GitLab.
Yes, it's free.
For maybe 100, 1,000 repository or some limit?
I don't know. I think no limit with That's one.
Because in GitHub you have limit of
Yes,
private repository. So
I think from GitHub, because more lessons on internet and more answer you can find from GitHub.
oh, because it's old Microsoft, so
Yes.
And we saw a raised hand, so please, Pablo, ask your question.
Do you know who is creator of the Gitlab?
Yes, it's a Ukrainian developer. I don't remember name, but it's I know it's from Ukraine. He's from Ukraine. Yes, Dmitry Zaporozhets.
And we have a question in the chat. I saw from what is better to start learning Git?
I answer
You
for
just
it
answered.
before.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. So, is nobody...
You demonstrated the main possibilities of GitLab. What additional features you can tell us about GitLab? Why we should use GitLab as site, not only Git? What you can tell us?
I don't know. You can use whatever you want. GitHub and GitLab it's similar, but in GitLab it more cheaper for you will be, and in GitLab you have CI/CD. It's automation testing for your app. In GitHub it's GitHub it have two, but but in GitLab it's more it's more used on GitLab.
And why we need this GitLab? Not enough to use Git only.
No, because GitHub it's in GitLab you can drag, press, and so on, not type in terminal.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Yevgeny. You can stop sharing your screen. And we appreciate your attention and presence to this conference and all of your questions. It was great to discuss these topics, and we have learned a lot. And we are also planning to make more conferences with related themes, but in Ukrainian. And let me invite you to join us to the next meetings. And you can get more information about us and our conferences from our platforms, which I sent to the chat, from our website or Telegram channel, or Facebook and LinkedIn pages. And again, thanks everyone who helped to make this conference happen, to our speakers, to our teachers, audience, and all attendees. I hope we are seeing each other soon.